Yes, hi, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sharon Siebert. I'm an AAUW California Director and co-chair of Branch Support. Carol?
And I'm Carol Holzgraf, another AAUW California Director and the other co-chair of Branch Support.
So to give you a little bit of background about why we're doing this workshop tonight, Carol and I have been the people who you reach out to when you email, ask us first. And you have certainly asked us first a lot this year. Lots of issues having to do with especially branches finding difficulty in finding people to be stepping up to leadership. The background is that we understand during COVID, there were branches that didn't have a lot of meetings or maybe not even any meetings. There were branches that didn't do any membership outreach during COVID. And there were branches who might have had Zoom, but had members who were unwilling or unable to access Zoom. So this is going to be a virtual workshop, and we're going to have breakout rooms. And those of you who have come and are going to be put into breakout rooms, we want you to be proud of yourselves that you are doing this on Zoom when other people were unwilling to do so. So as I said, there were these issues having to come up time and again in terms of the ask us first questions that we got, plus the phone calls, the emails, the absolute frightened ideas of all the branches that are having trouble finding leaders. So with that, let's have the next slide, please. We're going to have solutions in this workshop, and this is going to be interactive. So there are going to be those of you here who have great ideas, and we're going to want to hear them. We have some ideas also that will start the idea factory going. And so I'm going to turn this over to my co-chair, Carol, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about some of the solutions that we have to talk about.
Okay, so the reason we're having a workshop instead of a webinar is so we can get ideas in real time from many of you. And as Sharon said, some of you are from branches that are successfully finding leaders, and others of you are from branches that are not. So we are hoping that what comes out of tonight will be a compendium of things that will help for now and for the future. The first thing that we need to do is to make it easier for everyone to join the leadership team, changing the leadership structure, of course. We no longer need to have elected members for about 27 different positions. We only need 3. And that helps. The rest is done by committee or friends, or if nobody does it, it won't be done. We are, of course, leveraging AAUW's mission because we are one of the very few women's organizations that not only do very good things as far as gender equity and education, but we have fun for our leaders, and we offer friendship, and that is a powerful combination, and we need to use that. Streamlining the leadership requirements, having a job description that is very short and to the point, and includes but still is honest. Paring down what you do, because if you can't do it all, try doing less, and you can build from there. Preparing candidates, training. AAUW has many webinars and training sessions. We just have to point people in the right direction. And also Sharon and I are going to be having another webinar in a month or two about including all that training. Mentoring and developing new leaders. This is something that we can all do. We are here to help. As I said, the webinars on the websites are there to help. We just need people to get to do them. And we'll also be talking about how to find and ask candidates. I personally have found that you are more successful if you actually look them in the eye and ask, rather than sending it out an email saying we need a new president. Not going to work. So we have more ideas, and I know that you will too. So we really want to hear from you. So next slide, please. Okay. So this is what's going to happen. We will each be assigned to a breakout room. We don't get to choose. Once we get there, we're going to be there because they'll all be the same, except that the people will be different, but we'll all be doing the same thing. Each one will have a facilitator, and those are Sharon and myself and 3 members of our branch support team, which we will introduce you in a minute. We will need a scribe from each for each breakout room. This is somebody who will click on the link, find the link for your number of breakout rooms in the chat, and that will open a recording page. And then you just quickly type in the ideas that come that are flowing in your breakout room, and then we'll collect that later. So once you are there, you share your topics. You will document these ideas in our old favorite Google Docs. And then once we're all finished, we will have 40 minutes for this, by the way. Once we're all finished, then we will all go back into the main room, and each facilitator will then share their room's best ideas, as many as they can squeeze in to 5 minutes. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the way it is. Our facilitators on the right, Sigrid Morhans, as you see, from Laguna Beach, Gail Swain from California Online, Suman Ganapathy from Morgan Hill, and Sharon, of course, is from Monterey Peninsula, and I belong to half the branches in California, Paradise, Chico, and Morgan Hill, and I'm joining a few more at the moment. When you go into the breakout room, your facilitator will identify herself. Be sure you turn on your video, unmute your microphone, because you are now going to be a main part of this, and select a scribe. So if you feel like, yeah, you will probably need to be a reasonably fast typist. So be thinking about offering yourself. So, and then we will have 40 minutes, and I'm sure we'll get some warning times. Okay, next slide, please.
Here are the links for each of the breakout rooms. We've each been assigned one, each of the facilitators, and you have all been assigned one also. We're going to be having that done automatically, and in the breakout rooms, the facilitators will suggest that each of you introduce yourself, your name, and your branch. And that way we can all get to know you virtually. So I think we're about ready to manage to get into the breakout rooms. So just a quick recap of a couple of the really fabulous ideas that came out of our room. And one of them was to have a blue ribbon committee, not to ask anybody to take on a job, but just to get your most engaged members and be part of a special event. You can have a coffee klatch, you can have a luncheon, you can have them come to a special meeting and say that we'd like to talk about what are the most important things that our branch is doing and how we're doing, and what do you think we need help with, and so forth. This blue ribbon committee idea is, or a task force idea, is not making people take a job, but in explaining what they feel is vital to keeping your branch going and keeping it vibrant. With regard to other ideas that came out, certainly keeping up social media. If you have, and if you do not have social media, you should be instituting it, because that's where a lot of us live these days. The branches that have been able to decide not to disband have been told in rather apocalyptic terms that the branch is going to go away if people don't step up to leadership. You'll never have other local scholarship winners. You'll never have tech trekkers again. Asking people who are former members and might not even live in California to help find people that are passionate about our mission and willing to take on a little responsibility, maybe sharing the job
This meeting is being
multiple
recorded.
times. I will now turn this over to Carol.
Oh, yes. And we had some really great ideas. The first thing, and I'm going to definitely pass this on to AAUW National, one branch said they were really reinvigorated by the 5-star program that drove some of us crazy and others of us were quite pleased with it. And the fact that they were able to make their members focus on what was important really did help them. Another really fabulous idea was somebody said that board members should talk to other members, not just on the board, and tell them what value they, the board member, get from serving in a particular job. Because we do these things for a purpose. And we thought that was rather clever. Also, inviting, it's your new members. Nobody should be asked to be president the first year that they are a member, or pretty much anything major. But invite them. You can invite them to a board meeting just so they get used to the people. New members have to get to know us, and we have to get to know them. And they can be up close and personal without, they can dip a toe in by saying, well, I'll do a one-off job. Don't give them the whole thing. We pretty much all know that, but sometimes it's hard to avoid. Somebody's interviewed new members on video. Many branches have someone who interviewed them, and they post that in the newsletter. It seems to me that adding a picture would be excellent because then we know who that person is. But the video idea, with everybody's permission, of course, is rather clever, I think. You will need your own special techie to do that, but some branches are lucky enough to have those. Recruiting from the interest groups, just things like that. Encourage people to do, yes, the people who are doing work should not be doing all the work. If you've been membership person forever and you really love being membership person, you need somebody else to take some of that job off. We need to make it all easier and less, less intense, but we still need to get the job done. So shall we turn it over to Sigrid is breakout room number 3, I believe.
Yes, and I had originally asked Nancy to do this, but I found the document, so I'm going to do it myself.
Okay.
Following on your idea of the interviews and the videos, one of our members suggested having an individual conversation with new members and find out what their background is and also what do they like to do, and find a skill that maybe they can tap into to be part of some kind of task. Not necessarily jump on them to be president day one, but get them ingrained in some kind of tasks. Another idea was, and this from the San Diego branch, was getting younger members because they go on to the college campuses. And well, a lot of us make scholarships for women returning to school. There may be some people there who have a 2-year degree and they would be eligible and we can recruit them. If there's something at the college campus where you have a table, where they always have these days of, join this club, join that club, be there and look for the people who might be interested because they're returning women and they might identify with the mission of AAUW. The other thing is for new members, explaining how exciting our programs are. A lot of people don't understand what we do. And so giving them an insight into your Tech Trek program or the recent GovTrack or Speech Trek or the scholarships that you give or any of the other fundraising kinds of things that might be exciting and not necessarily make them into, mission developers, but get them excited about our position in the economy. Of course, the sharing duties. It's very, very popular to have co-everythings, and making people part of committees as opposed to a membership chair or any other of those stuff. Mentoring was the other one that brought up. People who have done these jobs for years and years don't want to do it again. But if you position this as you're going to be the teacher and mentor for the younger person, two things happen. The institutional knowledge passes to the younger person, and the younger person doesn't feel overwhelmed, like I don't even know what this branch is about. How can I do this job? But if you're paired with someone who's been there 30 years, I think it's a good combination. We did talk about people, hanging on to the old ways and hanging on to their association with interest groups. But I think we just need to make sure everybody knows that survival requires some changes as we go forward. And that was it.
Thank you, Sigrid. Suman Ganapathy, you are next.
Hello. So yes, we had a really good discussion in our group too, and I think it came to bottom line that member recruitment was going to be really key. We had some members who in the branches where they didn't really have a strategy to grow membership, and that was so we discussed various ideas. Even if you don't have a membership drive, just invite people to events. We talked about all the various events that are there in all the various branches. Wine and Wine is one. Also, Tech Trek Girls, their parents can be invited to join. But then, of course, we also had the problem of some members where that's not really possible. So there was also, we definitely, again, we discussed not just ideas, but also what wasn't working. So the dues were deemed really high, and maybe we need to open up membership in some branches. Then we also talked about having a succession plan to always have someone shadowing people like in teams and committees. We had a really good idea of one of our branch members where they shared the job of president for a few months. So they have about 4 to 5 people and doing the job for president in a year, and possibly 2 people doing the job between 3 to 5 months every time. And then that was one way to share the load. Another member had this really great idea, or shared the great idea, that in their branch, the president mainly convened meetings. They had really very strong membership committees, very strong scholarship committees and everything. So the job of the president was not as frightening because, again, everyone said that that they had trouble getting a president in particular. So again, shadowing, helping new members, getting new members, trying to reduce the job, or trying to make the job of the president less daunting was really important. And then to also, so in one place there was where a branch would discuss what was their one main focus of the year, and they would just focus on that. And that branch membership was really important, so they had to, no matter what, get new members, and they went to various events and invited people and ensured that new members joined, and it looks like it's working. Whereas in some other branches which are larger, having something for everyone is key. So you might have various things, for example, like a DEI team, or public policy and advocacy, or, as you know, climate education. You might have between 25 to 30 people going to each of these, and that's okay. Don't expect all branch members to do everything. And then the really important thing is to make branch members always feel like they can do the job by inviting them to again shadow a job. What else did we talk about? We talked about new member meetings to tell folks about how to get the most out of branch membership. Again, we have that every year. So let the new members know how wonderful our mission is. Tell the story of our AEW since 1881, and make sure that new members feel like they really are part of a wonderful team. But I think it's mainly that. Basically, it was membership, adapt to situations, simplify if you need to simplify, and then talk to your membership and say that if you really want your branch to survive, then what are you willing to do? And that's really important, to use that language and not soften the blow. Sometimes branch members don't realize that that their branch is in trouble, and that's really important to make sure that they are part of the conversation. I think that was about it. And Dottie Burke, thank you so much for taking great notes.
Thank you, Suman. So Gail, you're next.
Thank you. Somebody has a little dog who's joining us. I thought that was cute. Okay, I probably have a lot of duplicates, so I'll try not to read the duplications since we're the last group to go. And Gail Brooks took our notes. Thank you, Gail. So one of the ideas was ask somebody to fill in like program or president or secretary for a meeting. The president could say, I have to be out of town. Could you do it for me? Or, and hopefully you're planting a seed that this person is going to enjoy their experience. Start mentoring people now. As soon as you get a new job, start looking for the person who's going to replace you and mentoring them. One branch had a leadership council. Instead of like the board, they had a leadership group that planned things, and I don't know, it worked. Try to get people as they're retiring. And when you do get a new member, get them involved right away. Take them to coffee or give them a phone call, write them a note, and find out, maybe you have a member survey, find out what they put on there, what things they're interested in, get them in that interest group or in that job. So you got to start mentoring them right away and compliment them when they do what they do. One branch had 3 elected people, president, secretary, and treasurer, and then those 3 people recruited other people to fill needed jobs. Have your interest groups do your programs. You maybe don't need 12 programs a year if you do 12 meetings. Simplify, maybe less programs, and maybe if you have a tech group that meets, they could do a program, or you have a DEI group, they could do a program. You can go to your interest groups and say, hey, we want you to do the program for this month, and they'll probably be glad to do it. I tend to find other groups in your community that do similar things, and go to, invite someone from their group to come to your meeting, and then ask that if you can go to their meeting. So you cross and you meet, and you'll probably ended up being, in each other's groups, which is great because you're doing similar work. If the branch is really maybe going to fold, appeal to their emotions. Do we really want to lose Tech Truck? Do we really want to lose scholarships? You've got to make it, I think Sharon used the word apocalyptic. And, you want people to really think, do you really want to lose Bridge? I know that's not our mission, but it's just appeal to their emotions, okay? Make sure your website's up to date. Consider a nice card, two-sided card like you see in hotels, advertising. You can have cards at a local coffee shop. You can go on Canva, CANVA, and create, they have lots of templates, and it's really easy to do. And you could also put a QR code on it because we know technology attracts people and they will be impressed. Go to a local college or university, attend an alumni meeting and have a table, or go to an event and have a table. When you maybe can't get a treasurer, you might want to hire a bookkeeper. One branch had to hire a bookkeeper for several months until they found somebody. Make things fun, make them easier, make people feel special, tell them you appreciate everything they're doing, compliment them, and be respectful of people's time. If you have a Zoom meeting and your Zoom meeting is supposed to start at 7, like ours did, you started at 7. And I feel AUW is, the state and everybody, we want to respect each other's time. It's very important. Talk to your Tech Trek parents to help, to your scholarship recipients, and I think I covered it all. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. So over to you, Sharon.
Wind up, as we wanted to let you know, you heard some great ideas. You heard some ideas that were covered multiple times because it's so important. We're going to make sure that all of these documents get collated together, and the fabulous communications team will make sure that our editing makes it sensible for everyone to understand. And then we will pass out all of that information in a concise and readable form to all of you who attended. We hope that it will be helpful for all of you. And one other thing that we want to mention, in that document, we will point out to you a number of webinars that we think are very helpful for you to watch, that are possibly from previous years, with regard to social media usage, with regard to recruiting members, with regard to leadership. Don't be shy about going onto the state website. There is a tool called Leadership Tools. Look at what's there. There is information for you. But don't be afraid to do things differently. Don't be afraid to survey your branch and find out what they want and what they're willing to step up to do, because if they don't, it might not get done. So watch for the email link with the document, and we really appreciate all of your time and efforts on our behalf of all of AAUW to help with leadership. We will, as Carol mentioned, in a couple of months have a new webinar for incoming board members to be able to become AAUW fluent before they have to take over their new positions. If there is any further questions that we haven't answered, feel free to email us at AskUsFirst or branch@aauw-ca.org. Carol, do you have anything to add?
There you go. Actually, no. I think you and all of our breakout room facilitators have covered pretty much everything, except I wanted to thank everybody for coming. It was really quite valuable for me, certainly. I hope it is for everybody else.
And feel free to reach out to us. That's what we've been doing this whole year.